Welcome to QCC's Face the Region. Face the Region is produced by Quinsigamond Community College to assist our region in attaining educational, economic, and personal prosperity. Good morning once again, and welcome to Face the Region here on Full Service Radio, AM 830 WCRN, Quinsigamond Community College's program, where every week we talk about some of the great stuff going on here at the QCC campus. And today we're actually sitting in the PTK office, correct? Would that be correct, Kyle?
I call it the Student Lounge.
The Student Lounge for PTK. We're talking with Kyle Mondino, who is currently the Greenhouse Project Manager and the Vice President of Scholarships for PTK. Kyle, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
I know you're thrilled to be here. I can tell by your expression.
Absolutely.
So, first of all, tell us a bit about the Student Lounge. You tell us about PTK. It's an acronym for what?
So, PTK is an acronym for Phi Theta Kappa. It is an international honor society with a focus on community service. Matter of fact, they have competition projects every year to try and implement and research different things going on in the world with a gear towards action and implementation to make that change.
And once again, to get into PTK, it's obviously an academic sort of regimen.
Correct. The requirements can vary a little bit from chapter to chapter. For our chapter, it is a 3.5 GPA or higher with a minimum of 15 credits completed at Quinsig. I think that's currently all the requirements we have.
Cool. So basically, give us a little bit of history of PTK. How did it get started, and how did it end up? Is it national?
It's international. There's actually 1,300 chapters around the world. There are actual international conventions that people can attend. We do have a regional team and an international team for Phi Theta Kappa. For this specific chapter, it looks like it was chartered in 1980 in April. With 11 members. Through a couple of different advisors, and under the current advisor, Bonnie Coleman, we've expanded to 402 current members.
That's some serious growth.
Yes, we actually do have a book, too, that keeps track of all the awards the chapter has won, and you can see the progression if you look at the amount of awards won each year, with the last year having the most won.
So is there a basic mission statement or a tenet of PTK, per se?
So the basic tenets are leadership, scholarship, basically scholarly learning. That's why the requirement is for a high GPA. They want people who are going to be the future leaders. They want people who focus on academic achievement, and then community effort. That's actually another pillar. Another pillar was community. What that means to each chapter can vary. For us, it's been a lot of involvement in the Worcester area and trying to address different needs based on the leadership's decisions for our chapter.
Now, having done a couple of interviews with other folks from PTK in the past, this is a pretty good notch to have on your belt from a resume standpoint, is it not?
Absolutely. Actually, as the VP of Scholarships, we host workshops each month, and one of the things I always push is building your academic resume. It's a little bit different than our parents' generations, where going to school was not a necessity, and so
it was drudgery.
It was drudgery. well, yeah, absolutely.
No, I'm just being facetious, but it was a different mindset for my generation.
It wasn't necessary. You could go and you could get a decent paying job and make a living and start a family. If you wanted to be into a specialty such as being a doctor or an engineer, that was something else, but it wasn't a requirement. Nowadays, it is a requirement. You can't get a job at retail as a manager without a 4-year degree. So the amount of competitiveness when applying to colleges is huge. I mean, I just applied for a bunch of scholarships. I have a 4.0 GPA. I'm on a leadership team, and I didn't win any of them. Now, it could be my essays, but that's how competitive the market is that, you have people that financial need is greater than yours. You have people who are smarter than you. You have people that are more involved than you. So you kind of want to cover all your bases, and being involved with Phi Theta Kappa is one way to build that academic resume.
I was going to say, too, the cost of college education, of course, here at QCC, that's one of the great advantages of attending at QCC. But when you do transfer out into a 4-year school or those types of schools, the cost can be pretty
Steep.
serious and steep. So to have a shot at a scholarship would be a great advantage.
Absolutely, and actually, a lot of the colleges, because Phi Theta Kappa is held at the community level, one of the big things they fight for is transfer scholarships. So a lot of colleges, four-year universities or higher, offer exclusive Phi Theta Kappa funds. I think the minimum is $1,000, and they can go as high as $10,000, $15,000 just for being a PTK member. So that's not necessarily something you have to compete for. Just for being a member of Phi Theta Kappa, you can qualify for that.
And as long as your GPA meets the requirements, are you automatically ushered in, or is there
So we send out
application?
invitations after you've completed your 15 credits here, and if your GPA requirement is met, we do send out invitations per email. We offer open houses to inform students what Phi Theta Kappa is. Our office is always open for people to stop by so we can talk about it, but it's ultimately up to the student. Some people don't know what Phi Theta Kappa is, some people don't have the time, some people don't have the money, and we try to address all those concerns when we can.
So you just said some people don't have the money. Is there a cost involved?
Yep, there's a one-time $80 application fee. Goes to Phi Theta Kappa headquarters, and a small portion of that goes to the regional team. There was a vote recently that will increase to $85 starting next semester, mainly because the regional team had a $5 per membership budget for the last 30 years, and they just increased that to $10.
Okay, so it's a membership fee.
Correct. Yep, but it is one time. You're a lifetime member of Phi Theta Kappa. It does go on your transcripts. It does follow you wherever you go. And then, like I said, that membership fee automatically, since it makes you a member of Phi Theta Kappa, qualifies you for exclusive scholarships, with the minimum being $1,000 typically in a transfer. So it's usually worth it, basic
Sure.
math.
Sure. And again, and this is the only way I can kind of relate to it, being from an older generation. My mother was part of Kappa Alpha Theta. Now that was just is there a difference between PTK as a scholarship
Absolutely.
organization and one of the traditional
So
sororities? Or
you're thinking more of a sorority,
Right,
which is it's more of like a group or a club,
A
if you
social
will.
thing.
It's a social thing. Phi Theta Kappa is an honor society, so the motives are a little bit different, and how it's viewed. So sororities are typically linked to the local colleges or maybe a couple of chapters they might have. Whereas since this is international, it's global. It's not tied to any specific school. It's a separate organization, and they have separate directives and goals.
Cool. We're chatting with Kyle Mondino, the Vice President of Scholarships for PTK and also the Greenhouse Project Manager here for PTK at QCC. And when we continue with Face the Region, we'll find out more about the advantages of getting involved with PTK for students and potential students here at QCC. Stay with us here on Full Service Radio, AM 830 WCRN. Welcome back to Face the Region here on Full Service Radio, AM 830 WCRN. I'm Zip Zipfel, and this week we're chatting with Kyle Mondino, who is the Greenhouse Project Manager and the Vice President of Scholarships for PTK Phi
Theta Kappa.
Phi Theta Kappa. We'll
More
get that.
specifically, we're the Alpha Zeta Theta chapter of Phi Theta Kappa.
I'm not even going there. You can say, you can do the announcing for me on that. Obviously, volunteering and giving back to the community, a huge part of PTK. And somebody coming into the program obviously should be ready and willing to get involved. So what are some of the projects you're currently working on and some of the great achievements of the past?
So the big project we're working on right now is the Live and Learn Greenhouse, which is a greenhouse we started on campus to help address students with food sensitivities or hungry individuals. We just started it this year. We planted our first crop in July. And so we're just trying to get it fully operational and get it exactly where we want. So we're expanding on that. It's going to be our first winter, so that's going to be a trial. But like I said, the long-term goal is going to be to provide food to students on campus.
Which is great. And I understand the initial what would the structure itself came from?
So, as a state and federally funded school, there are certain restrictions and limitations associated with that, and we had to fight for the greenhouse. One of the ways we were able to be successful with implementing the greenhouse was we won a $16,000 grant geared towards these types of projects, and there were a lot of naysayers who didn't believe that students would be successful with this. So we had to prove them wrong. And the spot that we were donated was a bus stop, traditional, small rectangular bus stop. And we retrofitted it with a special type of glass made for greenhouses, and then bought grow lights and shelving, and spent about $13,000 to get it to a place where we could actually put plants in it. And then we're going to be, like I said, heading into our first winter. So this is kind of the trial period, the first time we're implementing it. We have actually produced some food which we have given to students on campus already, but it's small right now. We're still working out the kinks.
For that sustainability, sure. And the other thing I wanted to ask too, now this was not only just the volunteers of PTK, but you kind of involved a bunch of the other departments here at the school as well, and other students, I would imagine.
It's kind of like that old saying, build it and they will come.
Where are the greenhouse of dreams?
Yeah. So, once you see something physical, it's a lot easier to get behind it. It's a lot easier to see, what's happening. And so, after we started retrofitting it, we hired a company to come in and cut all that glass and put it in. Facilities started to see it, students started to see it, faculty started to see it, and I mean, who doesn't love seeing just a bunch of green first thing in the morning when you come on campus? And so naturally, people started questioning, what is it? What can we do to help? Nobody really likes to see things fail. So.
Well, certainly your persistence in making it happen is to be noted for sure. As far as the aspect of PTA, excuse me,
PTK.
What did I say? PTA.
PTK. Parent teacher. Yeah.
That's right. It's just again showing my advanced years here. The giving back aspect of PTK.
So with our chapter, community involvement is a big thing. It's actually one of the largest motivators for students to get involved. They love it. I mean, again, you're dealing with students that have very high GPAs, so we can kind of correlate high intelligence. And it's an outlet for them. It's a way of spending their time building social bonds, connections, and giving back to the community. We have funded the Lily Bookmobile. Actually, we've raised about $60,000 for that so far, with a goal of raising $100,000 for that to keep it on the road. We have helped continually with the Veterans Inc. We help with the Harvest Garden, which is kind of a similar project, except it's a huge farm and they grow food to provide towards needy individuals, and we help harvest that every year. But the great thing about being on the leadership team of Phi Theta Kappa, or even being just a member of Phi Theta Kappa, is there's any community service efforts that somebody wants to do, they can just nominate it, and then we do a vote on it, and if we get enough people behind it, it's something we start doing.
And it certainly puts QCC in such a favorable light in the community as well, just realizing that you have that kind of input into the community.
Well, absolutely. And, again, when you're a state-funded school, we're receiving money from taxpayers, so why shouldn't we give back to the community? Community's giving us money to do things with, so we're going to put it back into the community and make a difference.
How did you personally get involved? Obviously, you're a smart guy and a scholar of sorts, but what was your own personal motivation?
So for me, I'm a non-traditional student. It's been 12 years since I've been in the classroom. And college has always been kind of a mystery to me. There's this kind of structure that when you go to college that everyone just assumes you know what you're doing, when in truth, no one knows what they're doing.
Same thing in government.
Yeah, pretty much. Most leadership roles, So I got an invitation. Didn't really know what Phi Theta Kappa was. I was working full time. I had 5 courses. Wasn't really interested in adding anything to my plate, but I got involved with a student who was in Phi Theta Kappa, and she started talking to me about it, and she really encouraged me to come and check it out and apply and enroll, and talked about the benefits that can be got out of Phi Theta Kappa, and the rest is history, as they say. Once you're in Phi Theta Kappa, it just has a way of pushing you along as a person, as a student. Bonnie definitely helps with that. She's a great advisor. And by the way, you couldn't get a better person to write a letter of reference for you. Hint, hint. So it definitely helps to expand your horizon and get you involved in things you never thought you would be involved with. Never would I have thought I would have a leadership position on campus or be involved in any of the things I'm involved with now.
So the fact that they reached out to you is a key thing.
Yep, absolutely. Again, a lot of students coming in don't know what to expect from college, especially a community college, and so having your fellow students, your peers, reach out to you and kind of explain everything and tell you about the benefits makes all the difference.
Right. Now, had you attended any other colleges, or is this your first?
No, first I graduated high school, and then life got in the way, and then 12 years later, I applied.
So PTK, in a way, sort of overcomes that sort of perception of a commuter school, if you will.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It gives it more of a social core.
Absolutely. It gets you more involved on campus. And it brings up your knowledge of what college life is like, and it teaches you things, because you have so many connections now through your fellow members that you can find out things a lot quicker. You have resources, and comfortable resources, because not everybody's comfortable reaching out to administrators or faculty. So now you have your fellow student, you can just be like, oh, hey, does anybody know about this? And if not, you can send out an email to our 402 members on campus, So there's always a way
Great
of...
networking.
Yeah, great networking, absolutely. I mean, and it expands, like I said, with our involvement in the community. I mean, just last week I met with the Commissioner of Worcester and one of the Massachusetts state senators. Photographic proof, too. So for our Artisan Action Project. And we had an idea where we wanted to go, and then, leading government officials talked about us, about our plan, and helped to expand it. And we're potentially going to be getting federal and state funding to help implement a plan to make a change in our community and start a tiny homes community for the homeless. That'll have medical and counseling and all different things to address the homeless needs.
Great. Hence the community in QCC.
Right. And the great part about that, too, is it is a part of a competition. So even though we're doing something for the community, it's something that you could potentially put on your academic resume, because you can win trophies, you can win awards, you can be nationally or internationally recognized.
I think we're looking at a few back here.
Yeah, this is...
Which we'll get a shot of in a couple of minutes.
And I'm not even sure this is all of the ones we won from this past year, because the last officer team we had ranked top 50 out of the 1,300 schools. And we think we're in the higher 50. They don't give you the exact number. If you rank in top 50, you're somewhere in there. We're thinking we're more like top 25, top 15,
Nice.
But yeah, they got invited to go to the international conference, which I think was held in somewhere Midwest. But there was tornadoes going on, so they didn't get to go, unfortunately.
Yeah, great. We're chatting with Kyle Mondino, the Vice President of Scholarships for PTK here at QCC, as well as the Greenhouse Project Manager. We'll find out more and as we return with our third and final segment here on Face the Region. You're listening to Full Service Radio, AM 830 WCRN. We'll be right back. Welcome back once again to Quinsigamond Community College's Face the Region here on Full Service Radio, AM 830 WCRN, where every week we chat with the various some of the students as well as faculty and organizations here on the QCC campus down in Worcester on West Boylston Street. And today talking with Kyle Mondino, the Greenhouse Project Manager, and more importantly, I guess, the Vice President of Scholarships for PTK. And as we found out, if somebody's just joining us, a quick overview of PTK.
PTK, Phi Theta Kappa, it's an honor society focused on community efforts and high academic achievement.
Right. So, and we've been talking about the various projects where the PTK volunteers give back to the community. We touched on a few of them. What are some of the projects on the table for the future?
So it's kind of a cycle or a moving selection. We have certain ones in the area that we help out with continually because they continually need help. Like Veterans Inc. There are certain times a year where every year they need volunteers, which is a homeless shelter for veterans in Worcester, which actually has a great story too if you're interested in that. Harvest Garden we help out with continually because, again, that's something continually that they're going to need volunteers for every year. But as far as individual community service efforts, they change largely. We get people who actually will call the college and say, hey, we're looking for help. We know what Phi Theta Kappa is, and is there any way you can get volunteers for this project? Matter of fact, we just had somebody reach out to us regarding the hurricanes in Puerto Rico, and they were looking for people to volunteer to help package gift bags or supplies for individuals in Puerto Rico. So they just called us up. Bonnie sends out an email. We try to get together so many people based on what they're looking for and just volunteer.
Now, you mentioned in the previous segment, for you personally, getting involved in PTK was kind of a social bridge for you to a degree.
Absolutely.
Is it true for most of the students, do you think, arriving here on campus?
We find, just based on what people say, especially on their way out, graduating, they talk about how much Phi Theta Kappa allowed them to open up socially. We have a new member that just joined as a Phi Theta Kappa member. She said she didn't really have a voice, and then we kind of dragged her into the officer team, and now she's vocal, going to conventions, doing all kinds of stuff, and it seems a lot more confident than she may have initially been. But it's definitely a social environment. It's definitely a networking environment. And like I said, it's a academic and resume building environment.
Right, and you mentioned too, just in the job market, it being so competitive, having those types of, I guess you'd call them accolades and achievements on your resume can be really key in whether or not you get that job.
Yep, you're always looking for anything that makes you stand out. I mean, they even tell you when you're making resumes that you need to make your resume stand out from the thousands that get sent in every day. So you want to do the same thing for colleges. Just anything to make your resume shiny.
Right, there you go. As far as your own personal involvement, having volunteered on a lot of these projects, you personally, what do you, your own personal rewards, what's the best thing about it?
So, the everybody's motivations are a little bit different. For me, I definitely want to look at developing myself. I'm a business administration major, so eventually I will be leading a team, hopefully. I'll be leading at any point, and so learning how to work with a variety of people, learning to be a good leader, they're just invaluable skills, and you gain those, but you also help out your community, so it's twofold. Some people just want to help everyone at the cost of anything, including themselves. Some people join Phi Theta Kappa for purely selfish reasons, and you know what? Even if that's the case, you're still giving back to the community through your efforts. So there's a little something for everybody, and everybody, like I said, has the different intentions of what they want to get from it. I usually say Phi Theta Kappa is a tool, and you can use that tool for a variety of things, but it's ultimately up to you how you're going to use it. If you decide to join Phi Theta Kappa and never do anything, well, you bought that tool and just never used it. Not to say that you don't have the benefits when you need it, but it's ultimately what you want to make of it.
One of the words I keep hearing popping up in chatting with you, Kyle, is achievement and leadership. Leadership is kind of one of the key tenets, I think.
So where that comes in is we have 402 members, some more active than others, but one advisor. How many jobs do you know where one person manages 402 individuals? There's probably not a lot. There's usually echelons, and that's where the Phi Theta Kappa officer team comes in. They're elected or volunteer students that have joined the team, and they help to kind of run everything and keep everyone organized and implement new plans and do fundraisers and a variety of things. So you learn on the job. You learn from alumni, you learn from the chapter advisor, you learn from your fellow leaders, different techniques. Heck, you can learn from faculty. Phi Theta Kappa is a learning experience. That's part of being an honor society, is to continue to learn.
Do you see a real correlation between the organization of PTK and the type of social skills you need to interact in a career later on down the road in a corporate scenario?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even on our officer team, there are officers I am less than friends with, to be polite. And that's part of life, working with people sure. For a common goal that you may not necessarily get along with 100%. And that's a great skill to have. That's a skill that a lot of people lack these days. Everybody wants everyone to conform to their will, and that's not being human. So it definitely helps you build those schools and skills, not schools. And it also helps you get into better universities. I mean, we've had Phi Theta Kappa members go to Yale. We had one go to Williams. We had one go to Northeastern. I mean, those are pretty big name schools and tough schools to get in. So they definitely make you stand out, and just through passing through that interview process of these prestigious schools shows that you gain the skills necessary to be the cream of the crop.
Right. So make in 60 seconds, make your best sales pitch for a potential PTK applicant.
If you want to get the most out of your money that you're spending on school, if you want to be able to parlay your career into, a great job, a great experience in life, and get the most out of everything, Phi Theta Kappa is for you.
There you go. Kyle Mondino, Vice President of Scholarships and Greenhouse Project Manager. Thanks so much. Been a really entertaining half hour. It's great stuff you guys are currently doing and have done and continue to do, and I wish you the greatest continued success. What are you going to do when you get out of school, by the way?
I have no idea. I'm still learning, and that's where Phi Theta Kappa comes in, and through our connections, maybe I'll find someone that will help me choose a job I want to do or a career I want to do.
And that was one of the other things we did talk about, is the key factor of the networking, being out in the community and meeting the people, that decision makers that could potentially.
Oh yeah, we have just in our meeting with the commissioner and everything last week, we had one of the students who wants to do stuff like that and work in the environment that they do, and she said, "Oh hey, can I do an internship when I'm done here?" And she's like, "Yeah, remind me about this meeting and we'll see what we can do." So
cool.
I mean, free internship with the commissioner of Worcester area doesn't hurt.
There you go. Kyle, thanks so much. That'll do it for this edition of QCC's Face the Region. Join us again next week at the same time, right here on Full Service Radio, AM 830 WCRN. Have a great week.
This has been Quinsigamond Community College's Face the Region. Join us again next weekend on AM 830 WCRN.